It's currently midwinter in my part of the world and we're enjoying some beautiful balmy winter weather. During the day it's around 19 degrees Celsius and 6 at night. The succulents are loving it too. But the warnings for what's to come later in the year are emerging thick and fast. After 3 years of La Nina, we're set to have an El Nino summer, which means less rainfall and higher than average temperatures. We're in for a tough summer, and not only my small nursery, but everyone will likely feel the heat. Higher than average temperatures for us mean heat waves of well over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit and serious bushfire season. But this video is also for all the plant-loving folk in the northern hemisphere, where many areas are currently experiencing record-breaking heat. Some of the tips in this video can be applied to not just succulents but other plants as well. Let's get into it. Succulents will tolerate heat and a lot of it, but what can burn and kill them is direct sun exposure and its UV on a hot day. What this means is that your succulents are likely to be fine even during a super hot day of say 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit, as long as they are not in direct sun. Direct sun exposure will burn succulents even at much lower temperatures, especially if they're small, cuttings not established well or extremely stressed. I've seen succulents suffer sunburn even at 30 degrees Celsius. I make my living growing succulents and other plants, and I cannot afford to have them sunburned. This is what I use to keep them safe. Once temperatures start to rise in about mid-spring, I pull 30% shadecloth over all of my approximately 100,000 plants. The shadecloth not only bounces harmful UV off, but also protects from hail and to a degree insects and birds. At 30%, the shadecloth lets in enough sun to maintain the shape and color of succulents. However, during extreme heat waves, when temperatures go over 40 degrees Celsius, some succulents can burn slightly even through 30% shadecloth. To be on the safe side, I usually double up and pull over another layer, increasing the shade factor to 60%. This does come off as soon as the heat wave ends though. Having said that, keep in mind I need perfect looking spotless succulents to sell. If you're not selling succulents and don't need them to look absolutely perfect, you can easily get away with buying 50% or 60% shadecloth and pitch it over just for the duration of the heat wave. In fact, you don't even need to buy anything and can use an old bedsheet or tablecloth, an umbrella, gazebo or whatever else to create shade over succulents when the sun is way too strong. If your succulents are potted up in smaller pots, you can simply move them to a shaded area under a tree or a bright covered patio. Whatever you do, it is super important to anticipate the movement of the sun. You can have a shadecloth pitched over, but as the sun moves, it can shine down the side and burn succulents that are close to the edge. So as an example, I always have to put shadecloth not only over the plants but create a side as well, because in the afternoon the sun will shine right under it as it moves. If you collect succulents or have a few nice pots, you may as well get a small greenhouse and put shadecloth over it. The plastic they come with will not protect your succulents and you will need to get shadecloth separately. Another thing that will help greatly is to not have super stressed and dry succulents that have small leaves and thin stems such as little sedum or trailing crassula. These can dry out very fast in hot weather, and if they are not watered regularly they can die easily. If your succulents are planted in unsealed concrete or terracotta pots, they will need more frequent watering in hot weather as well. These two materials are porous and dry out incredibly quick, which can cause hydrophobic potting mix, extreme stress and even death. And lastly, when putting up shadecloth or whatever other shade creating thing, pitch it up above the foliage, don't just put it on the plants. The shadecloth should not be touching any part of the plant. When the sun is super hot, it will also heat up the shadecloth, which will burn any plant that is in contact. You can use bamboo sticks, star pickets or anything at least 1 meter long that you can bang into the ground or a large pot. You can make a teepee or whatever shape to cover the area you need. It doesn't have to be a work of art. It's also best to secure the bottom so the shadecloth doesn't blow over in the wind. Make sure to not leave any gaps. Even short exposure to direct sun over 40 degrees Celsius can lead to this if the plant is small enough or not well established. All it took here was 30 minutes or 45 degrees. Sunburn can look different across different succulent types. Some succulents will close their rosettes and only the bottom leaves will get affected. Others will see a lot of leaves dry out along the stalk. When the exposure to direct sun lasts for a few consecutive days, whole plants can perish. Some, like this little one, can die after a couple of hours of direct exposure over 40 degrees Celsius. Sunburn can present as black or brown leaves. It can be just a tip, half or a whole leaf. The damage is permanent. It can also just be mugs like these. Many succulents like this sedum rubrotinctum will be okay though. I've had this patch for many years. It really pays off to grow the hardiest succulents out there if you get heat waves on the regular during summer. I have a video coming up on the screen at the end with the best hardy succulents. Most will pull through a heat wave just fine once established. And that's it for today. I hope this video was useful, and if you have any further tips you can leave a comment below. To learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you very much for watching.